here's what I have. Chapter 1 will be Cologne, City of Art and Religion, the 20s in Leipzig and Berlin for Chapter 2, Chapter 3, from Nazi Germany to America during the Depression, Chapter 4, Spiritual Journey to Quakerism in the Shadow of World War II, Chapter 5, Meeting Dorothy Day, Chapter 6, Teaching Career, and then Chapter 7, Retirement from Teaching. That's what I have as far as how the book will be set up. So St. Martin's gave me, approved my proposal for a sabbatical this academic year. And here I'm going to start to continue my life story up to the present, but this also gets back, finally starting to get into Fritz Eichenberg as well. Last fall, I was able to stay at a Benedictine monastery in Germany, actually 2 different Benedictine monasteries. Maria Lach is somewhat in the southwestern, and then St. Boniface is somewhat in the southeastern. You could kind of say they're both central, but Maria Lach is just an hour, basically, by train to Cologne. So I was able to visit Fritz Eichenberg's hometown. And then from St. Boniface in Munich, I was able to visit Leipzig and Berlin, also some of the important cities for Fritz Eichenberg. There's Maria Lach. And so my first chapter will be Cologne, City of Art and Religion. This is Fritz Eichenberg's hometown. Some of the things, Fritz Eichenberg was Jewish as well, so I didn't really mention that yet. So being in Germany, I really kind of wanted to also study really Judaism in Germany and Europe. And Fritz Eichenberg really downplayed that a lot. He really said that that wasn't important to him. Maybe their family would have been what would later be called confessionslose, basically non-affiliated with a religion. He didn't really remember that they had very much practices, except that he would see his grandparents practicing. Here is, at the time, what Fritz Eichenberg would refer to as his Bible, the history of European satirical art. This introduced Eichenberg to Francisco Goya and Honoré Daumier. I tried to, here's the extent of my German translating abilities. Very, very, very slow, word by word, but this is something in that book that is in German, hasn't been translated, saying something about Goya. I don't know if anyone here knows German.
Bill Griffin.
Oh.
Goya is not so much as satirical. Is not satirical in the conventional sense. Goya is not.
Okay, ding, ding, ding.
Go Bill Griffin! Go Bill!
Try another one.
In-house. You in the house?
No, I'm going to go ahead. Goya is the biggest pessimist who has ever lived, a relentless nihilist, believing nothing and respecting nothing. I think when I was studying Eichenberg, as I mentioned, I saw Eichenberg's art in our prayer books. And so the whole context is, oh, Eichenberg. I was at first surprised that he wasn't Catholic. Then I think it took me a while, and once I started studying Goya, I realized in some ways he was also very, very influenced by artists who really heavily satirized religion, such as Goya. So this is one of Goya's prints from Los Caprichos series, where if you look close, I don't know if you can, but the hands are the branches of trees. And so the interpretation here, but the woman is very, very, very piously praying to a monk, I guess you could say. And, so the idea is sometimes there is a piety that doesn't really think about what's below the surface. I think this would just be one example. And if you go into Goya, Daumier, other kind of influences on Fritz Eichenberg, that was really part of his core being, is satire of religion, and kind of played out in, I think, skepticism and suspicion of organized religion, though he was attracted to the mystical aspects of religion as well. At an early age, one of the spiritual influences that he attributes throughout his life is Lao Tse of Taoism. From there I went to Munich, and so this is where I will go into basically the 20s, the 1920s, and really Fritz Eichenberg's 20s. He was born in 1901, so Leipzig is where he went to study art at the Academy of Graphic Arts in Leipzig. And I guess one thing that I got out of visiting Leipzig, I guess I could have known this, without going there anyway, but the Rhine region, really, Leipzig and Frankfurt both are like centers of book publishing. Now, some like half an hour from Frankfurt is, what's the name of that place? Johann Gutenberg did the printing press in that city. So it's just really kind of the central area for book printing. So even in his first few book illustrations, Till Eulenspiegel is another book that is a lot of satire of religion as well. But also he was interested in Dostoevsky, was one of the first of the books that he illustrated. Schuldensohn, that's Crime and Punishment, and Gulliver's Travels as well. He ultimately fell in love with a fellow art student, and they moved to Berlin, and he began to illustrate for Ullstein Publications. That was a newspaper and journal industry. And here's one of his illustrations, that the abyss between husband and wife, it looks like. I was able to spend a few days in Berlin, and also to be able to explore Judaism in Europe, in museums of Jewish history and culture in these various cities, and also to visit Dachau concentration camp near Munich. And so in 1933, Hitler came to power in January, and Fritz Eichenberg was really someone who very quickly saw where things were going and made plans in year one, basically within months. So the kind of job that he had was a traveling journalist who would write articles and illustrate them. So he was traveling all these different places, and he set himself up to travel through South, Central, and North America. There was a World's Fair in Chicago that he went to, and then from Chicago arrived at Grand Central Station in New York City. There's a story there that is apparently he went to the top of the Empire State Building and was there for 3 hours.
Wow.
And people, and the Empire State Building was built in between 1930 and 1932. So that was a brand new building at the time. And his friends, I think they might have even contacted the police and said, our friend is missing, we don't know where he is. They were expecting him or something. And he came in and said, no, don't worry about it. I just, got engaged with just looking out from the top of the Empire State Building. So this also brings me to New York to continue basically following the path of Fritz Eichenberg. So I'm a visiting scholar at Fordham this spring semester, and it's been amazing. I just got here in January, and really great to connect here with the Catholic worker community. So Fritz, Fritz Eichenberg was traveling for 3 months in the Americas, and took the ship back to Germany, and then he and his wife and daughter came across, by October, they were in New York. And let's see, they had some discussion about where in New York to live. They ended up in the Bronx. Spuiten Dweevil? Is that Spuiten Bible?
Go on, Joanne, with the German.
Yeah, no, that's good. I haven't really looked up to see how you pronounce that. It's like a southwestern corner of the Bronx. Right, you can see the George Washington Bridge from there.
Yeah. Stop it.
It's not really the Bronx.
Oh, yeah.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you
The
didn't.
Spine Dival's the low part.
Just saying, they didn't want a Bronx zip code, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Was that real mom?
they're racist.
Yeah, so, 1933, Catholic Worker movement. So it's kind of interesting to see, May 1st is really kind of Dorothy Day and Peter Morin met in December 1932. So really, within those few months, I have it written down here. I thought it would be interesting, but I don't know. Dorothy was maybe 36 years old. Tamar was about 8 years old. Right, and kind of May 1st, the first day of selling the Catholic Worker newspaper. So the Eichenbergs came in to New York in October of that year. I guess you could put it this way, is Fritz Eichenberg didn't meet Dorothy Day until, 16 years later.